Hello and welcome. This is Luther594, and I'm going to be talking about Pokemon the Animated Series and the three starter Pokemon that Ash actually has on his team, and how at least two of them could possibly belong to the trainers, the other two trainers that took Bulbasaur and Charmander. Alright, so the first time we ever hear about these trainers are when Ash goes to pick his starter. Now, Professor Oak was honestly very not so nice when it came down to giving Ash his starter Pokemon, because it was more like he had his bait out to make Ash feel like an idiot, to be like, oh yeah, I know I woke up late, but I came here to, at least get a Pokemon. And instead of Professor Oak being like, oh, I'm sorry, we don't have, all three starters, but we do have this Pikachu. This could be a friend. You could easily go through at least the forest and catch a few Pokemon to deal with the gym up ahead. But no, he just, hey, look at these Pokeballs. These shiny little Pokeballs. Wouldn't you want to get some of these? Ash is like, yeah, I want one of them. I've been thinking about that all night. But when it came down to it, the starter Pokemon weren't there, and he decided to pick Pikachu because that was the only one. But not just that, because Ash actually wanted to choose Pikachu. Because, something different, a challenge. And Ash, in general, is just a very kind and pure-hearted person. Because, as soon as you're 10, you're all right to be a fucking trainer. But anyway, let's get right on into it as soon as Ash gets to the first town. Wait, no, the second town. Ash is in the Pokemon Center to heal his Pikachu from a Spearow attack. But Pikachu didn't really get attacked all that much because of the fact that Pikachu actually got struck by thunder from the sky. Yeah, that happened. But Pikachu actually was using an electrical move, which actually turned Pikachu into a electric rod, which made Pikachu get hit by this thunder, absorb that thunder, use that electricity from that thunder into a giant electric blast against the giant horde of Spearow. But we are in the next town in the Pokemon Center waiting for Pikachu to get healed. Alright. Ash is now sitting down, waiting for his Pikachu to get nice and healed and rested. But little did Ash know, this Pokemon Center that he is at is actually getting a phone call by Professor Oak. But since no one was there to actually pick up the phone or answer this call, Ash decides to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to answer this call. Hello there, Professor Oak. It's me, Ash. Oh, well, look at you. You're there. You made it very quickly. Not like those other trainers which got there, but not as quick as you. The second time we heard about these trainers now. Now, they're not just two trainers. Not just one trainer, because, there's Ash, Gary, and then the two unknown trainers. Let's just call them Bulbasaur and Charmander trainer. Yeah, let's go with that. The Bulbasaur and Charmander Squirter, what is wrong with me? The Bulbasaur and Charmander trainer got there at a decent pace, but they were able to get there without any serious injuries. But Ash was able to get there nice and quickly because, getting attacked by Spearows. Okay, so let's skip on right on into how Ash actually runs into Bulbasaur. Oh, this is in a forest, and there is actually a log cabin house in the forest. But this isn't just any log cabin house. This house that is actually providing shelter for a trainer? Possibly? Now, for all we know, this trainer actually accumulated at least one gym badge. But this trainer, or just person who is actually taking care of wild Pokemon, injured wild Pokemon, she actually has a friend, Bulbasaur, who comes around to protect the weak and actually brings the weak to her so she can tend to them. But Bulbasaur, being the big buff bodyguard he is, he wants to protect everyone, and as soon as he saw Misty holding that Oddish, he's like, oh, bitch, you better not be touching my buddies, my little buddies. I'll attack you. But yeah, this Bulbasaur is very loyal and very brave. Not just that, but actually very powerful. So what's so different about this Bulbasaur from most other Bulbasaurs? Well, nothing. It came from Professor Oak. And it actually possibly has something to do with why the Zed trainer, who came from Pallet Town, doesn't have it anymore. Because we find out later on in the series, it doesn't want to evolve. It's probably way above its regular level, like level, I don't know. Let's say the normal level for a starter in Kanto for them to evolve is level 16. So let's say he's level 16. He's very powerful. He's protecting all of these other weak individual Pokemon from harm. So the only thing that's different from this Bulbasaur than most other Bulbasaurs out there, it's just a regular Bulbasaur, but with an abnormal level. But because of this power and all of this, it's a grass type, it'll level up a whole lot more faster. But Ash catches it. So why would the Bulbasaur trainer give up on this Bulbasaur? Well, let's come up with a theory right now. There's a possibility that this trainer realized that this Bulbasaur just doesn't want to evolve. Brought that Bulbasaur into a decent amount of battles. Gave it enough time, effort, and patience for it to level up and evolve. But when it finally came to evolving, it just didn't happen. So let's say this trainer decided to say, hey Bulbasaur, do you want to evolve? Bulbasaur could have reacted with a shock. Be like, you want me to evolve? And quickly shake its head in, no, I do not want to evolve. Because, these mythical creatures can't actually communicate with their trainer. They only have a specific set of speech for them to actually use. Just a few bulba. Just a few syllables of their names is what they can actually say, except for some Pokemon like Charizard. Because Charizard is Charizard, but it goes, you see? Most of the time, that's exactly how it sounds like. But, well, that's actually how it sounds like in the game, but whatever. Alright. Ash actually gets a Charmander. From the wild? Question mark? Let's get into this before we go into the Bulbasaur, the Squirtle he gets. Because Ash actually catches a Squirtle, but the only person in the anime that actually chose Squirtle was Gary. And we find out in the Johto region, in the Johto series, that when Ash actually fights against him, is that Gary kept it and actually leveled it up and trained it into a Blastoise, which is, right on for him. But um, Ash actually finds out that there is a Squirtle that was abandoned by his trainer. Oh, actually, I think not abandoned, but released by their trainer. And there's a possibility that the only reason that happened was because it was the same thing as Bulbasaur. Ash's Squirtle is a little bit more different. Most of Ash's Pokemon are very different when it comes down to normal Pokemon, because most of the time, Pokemon that Ash catch just doesn't want to evolve. And this has been a common trait between his Bulbasaur and Squirtle. They just didn't want to evolve. They never felt the need to. But when it came down to Ash and this Charmander that was abandoned by this dude, what was his name? I forgot his name. He had purple hair though. So Ash finds out that there is a Charmander that just doesn't want to be caught because he's waiting for his trainer to come back. But when Ash actually goes into a Pokemon Center, he finds out that there is a trainer who's actually bragging about the fact that he left his Pokemon out. He abandoned his Pokemon. He's bragging about the fact that he abandoned his Pokemon, Charmander, and said that he'd come back for it, but he never planned on coming back for it. Which leaves Charmander to a huge trust issue, which I don't believe that... Well, I'll get into that as soon as I talk about how Ash catches him. Pretty much, Damien, that was his name. The guy who abandoned his Charmander is Damien. Damien was bragging about how he has such great, powerful Pokemon, but this Charmander wants to evolve. This is the only starter that Ash catches and that actually evolves, because it wants to evolve to be better for its trainer. And plus, being with a trainer such as Damien, who wants to have powerful Pokemon, and it was lied to once by Damien about how I'll come back for you, and never did, and when it came down to it was out in a storm where it could have died because of the fact that the rain was pouring down so hard that the lit flame on its tail, if that went out, it could have died. That Pokemon's living life force is on its tail, and if that fire went out, it would have been dead. But as soon as Ash took care of that, Ash told Charmander exactly what happened. That Damien was never going to come back and all this and that. Charmander was fed up with it and just went with Ash. So the whole idea of Charmander actually wanting to be with Ash could be mixed signals because of the fact that abandonment issues, trust issues. I don't think having most of Ash's badges just giving to him without actually beating someone was the issue with Charmander and obeying Ash as soon as he evolves, as much as it was for its just overall abuse. But let's say Damien. Some people say that Damien could not be the trainer that came into Pallet Town to actually choose Charmander, because of the fact that Damien had so many Pokemon right off the bat, and he had Charmander. But there's a possibility that somebody gave Damien this Charmander. Let's add a little theory into this Charmander. Damien had so many strong Pokemon, and with Professor Oak saying both trainers got off to an excellent start, but just didn't have the skill. So the one trainer who had Bulbasaur just didn't have enough patience for Bulbasaur, released it into the forest because it wouldn't evolve. The Charmander trainer decided, you know what, I'm just not good enough as a trainer. So I'd rather give my Pokemon off to someone who has strong enough Pokemon and who would actually be willing to train it up and evolve it. Because this trainer could have easily seen that this Charmander wanted to be the best of the best Pokemon. Because we've seen at the Johto's region, when Ash had Charizard, Charizard wanted to be the strongest of the strongest Charizards. He even decided to wait in a lake for these people in the Charcific Valley to actually take him in and to make him stronger. So this is possibly exactly how the abandonment issues and the trust issues came in, because of Damien abusing its mental stability along with lying to it. So the whole theory about this trainer not thinking he's good enough to actually be a Pokemon trainer, trading off his Charmander to Damien, who already had strong Pokemon, thinking that Damien would have put in enough time and effort and patience into this Charmander, and this Damien dude decides to abandon it on a rock and just to leave it out there to die in a storm is just crazy. And now having Ash come along, this could possibly be a thing. Because there is a trainer somewhere in the series that actually just doesn't believe himself. He's given up on the fact of actually being a Pokemon trainer and wants to be a referee. Like, he already says he knows everything about Pokemon battles and all this and that, but he wants to learn how to be a referee for Pokemon battles and Pokemon gym battles. So he can be the person who says, so he can be the person qualified enough to be, hey, your Pokemon is done, went through enough abuse. Put him back in his Pokeball so they can at least rest up. But yeah, when it comes down to the Ash's 3 starters that he actually caught, only 2 out of the 1 doesn't want to evolve. Charmander wants to evolve, but as soon as it evolves into Charmeleon Charmander is very loyal and outgoing, but when it came to it evolving, its personality actually changed because of the fact that it's a Charmeleon. A chameleon. A chameleon gecko, all these other things that these creatures, the lizards in this world can actually be very territorial. But when it came to Charmeleon, he saw Ash as a liability when it came to if he's not strong enough or this or that, or not and this and that, because of the fact that Charmeleon is the evolution of Charmander, and Charmander already went through so much abuse, Charmeleon just wasn't having it anymore. When it came down to Charmeleon is the 2nd evolution out of the 3rd. And because of the fact that Charmeleon is in fact the Charmander is supposed to be the adolescent, evolving into Charmeleon turned it into a teen. But like I said, the gecko, the lizards have a very territorial thing, but when it came down to evolving from being abused so much, it just didn't give it too much of a shit to really do anything for Ash, except for the fact that as soon as he evolved from destroying all these other Pokemon that were actually fully evolved as a Charmander, evolved right into Charmeleon, and the two times Ash decides to use Charmeleon, he puts him up against under-evolved Pokemon. Which made Charmeleon think, I don't think you see me much as a ally than a plaything. Because of the fact that he's using Ash, that Ash is using it for such weak Pokemon. But at this point, Ash was still not very well known to how Pokemon battles work, or all this and that. You know what I mean? But as soon as Charmeleon evolved into Charizard, which was an episode where Ash got carried off by a Aerodactyl, he did not evolve for the sake of Ash or saving Ash. Charizard evolved for the sake of flying something that would probably give it a good enough match. Sorry. My throat is just... But like I said about Charizard, as soon as it evolved to actually fight Aerodactyl. Aerodactyl is a flying rock type, so could possibly give Charizard a good enough of a battle. But when it came down to the Orange Seviat, no, the Orange Islands. When it came down to the Orange Islands and Ash actually using Charizard in a battle that was against a Poliwhirl. Poliwhirl, instead of using a water move, used Ice Beam. But Charizard is in fact fire and flying, and it affected its flying attribute, but not so much its fire, because, fire indicates ice. But what I'm saying is, basically, in this battle, Charizard, flame on its tail actually got hit, making Charizard get weak. Charizard was in a state where he could be very close to death. But since he didn't want to go to a Pokemon Center, because there wasn't a Pokemon Center exactly where they were, there wouldn't be any use in doing that, or panicking about the fact that there's no Pokemon Center. So what they did was they set up 4 fires in a square-esque position, placed Charizard in the middle of these fires, put a blanket over him, and started rubbing him on its back to help Charizard gain its internal heat and have its tail fire light up at least gradually. So this is like way beyond losing the thing. Yeah. But I know this video is all about the trainers that came from Pallet Town. I know I already talked about them. I just wanted to bring up exactly why. This is more of a theory. This is... I can't talk right. This is more than just talking about the 2 other trainers and bringing up theories on why they got rid of their Pokemon, Charmander and Bulbasaur. Yeah. And then it goes into exactly why Charmeleon and Charizard stopped obeying Ash as soon as they evolved. But this is exactly in the Orange Islands. The Charizard actually started obeying Ash because Charizard started remembering all of the times when Ash was trying to comfort Charmander and help Charmander not die from that one faithful night when he was a Charmander. Charizard is like, wow, even though I don't do anything or just don't, yeah. Even though I don't do anything for this kid, and even though he always uses me for these situations that I just don't obey him, he just keeps trying his best to do the best for me. And exactly for that, Charizard actually gained respect for Ash. Now this is... Charizard is in fact supposedly the adult evolution from Charmander. But when it comes down to how Charmeleon was when Charmander evolved, the only two mature starters that Ash had was Squirtle and Bulbasaur. Even though Bulbasaur was more of a leader-esque Pokemon that Ash had, that was a starter, Bulbasaur was what I was just talking about. Squirtle was more of a fighter, but when it came down to him, when he wasn't fighting, he was more of a jolly-go-lucky sort of joker. That would do exactly what he was told, but when it came down to it, he would do whatever he wants, but without disobeying his trainer. And Charizard and Charmeleon, they were being childish throughout the whole Kanto series until the Orange series started. The Orange Islands series started. It was just crazy because there are so many theories about why Charizard just stopped obeying Ash. Like, oh, most of these gym badges that Ash got throughout his time in Kanto were just given to him, and Ash actually never won any of them. So the whole idea of these badges in the game, our Pokemon actually do get stronger, and we actually do need these badges for our Pokemon to obey us. But they left out the fact that these Pokemon actually needs the identification number from our Pokedex to be exactly the same for them to obey us. So, what does that mean exactly? If you got a Pokemon from trade from another game that's not under the same identification number from your Pokedex, it's not going to obey you because it's from another game, and that Pokemon doesn't actually belong to you, even if it does come from a game that you owned. The identification number from the Pokedex, the identification number under your Pokemon from your player's card would have to be the same as the one in the game that you're putting it into for it to actually obey you. But if the identification number on your Pokemon is the exact same one in your player identification, it will obey you. If you were to compare Pokemon, before you go to the first gym, get one Pokemon to level 16. Get the Pokemon you got traded to you to level 16. Use one in a battle and then use the other in the battle. It's not going to happen all the time, but the level 16 traded Pokemon will obey you, but there is a possibility of it disobeying you because of the fact that it doesn't belong to you, and you actually at least need one gym badge to have a Pokemon level 16, 15, or 16 or higher to obey you, which that Charmander didn't actually belong to Ash, but this is the anime, not the game. What happens in the game isn't canon to the anime until Alpha Sapphire and Omega Ruby, comparing that to the newest of the stuff. But yeah, this has been Luther574, and I hope you enjoyed this video of basic Pokemon knowledge and some of my theories. I'll see you in the next video. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. If you have any ideas on what you probably want me to do in the next video, leave it in the comment section. If this is the very first video that you've watched of me and you enjoyed some of the stuff that I've been talking about, or if you are nerdy like me, hit that notification button that tells you exactly whenever I end up being nerdy or weird. So yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.